My name is Carmen Lynch. I'm 23 years old and I had an ear infection in both ears, which started in February of 2009 and persisted on and got really bad and punctured my eardrums. And so from then on I became half deaf. Over a course of 6 months I continued to lose my hearing. Doctors said that it could be any day I could wake up and be deaf. And a year prior to that, so 2 years prior, I had chronic back pain from my L5 to my sacrum, so from your mid-back all the way down. I had arthritis and scoliosis and just intense back pain, probably from dancing and running, which was very painful. My ear pain started in February and just continued to pray for healing, just not giving up on that, and knowing that God is faithful, and if I'm supposed to be healed, then we'll continue to pray in faith. In August 2009, I came to the harbor, and they asked if anyone would want to be healed, and I said, I do, and I came up to the front, and people laid hands on me, and prayed for healing for my ears, that my hearing would return. I had then, had started reading people's lips, gotten really good in that, looking into sign language, because they did say I could be going deaf any day. And within the next 3 days, I didn't notice right away, but my hearing started to come back. And one day, I was in my roommate's room, and my phone was in my room, and before I had to look at you so I could hear you, otherwise I couldn't hear anything. And I heard my phone go off. And it was the smallest beep, and I could hear it. And so my roommates and I tested it out, and I could hear, and I didn't have to look at their mouth, and it was fully restored hearing. And it took 3 days, and then that Sunday I went to church, and the person that prayed for me, Ritesh, said, God told me that he would heal you in 3 days. And as for my spine, I had chronic pain. I could not sit or stand for more than 10 to 15 minutes at a time without wiggling around or getting itchy. It was really painful. As a dancer, it hurt to dance, and it was bad. And so then when they started calling, they said, would you like prayer for healing? And I said yes, and we continued to go up front, either at church services or conference. And then last year in 2009, I went to World Mandate Boston, and they said, would anyone like healing? And I went right up, and there's a pastor and 2 other people that I didn't know that came over and started praying for me, and they said, do you feel anything? And I was like, no, I'm sorry, I don't, nothing. There wasn't anything. There was, heat or anything. And so they said, okay, we're going to pray again. And one more person came over, and they started praying. And then I felt just a little pop, like a little release. And from the moment that I got there, like I was sitting all day, I was in a lot of pain. I could barely bend over. And when they asked me after, how's your pain? I couldn't believe I could touch my toes. I could sit. The car ride there was painful. Just the car ride home, there wasn't any pain, and just went through a couple of days. I went to my doctor a week later. They did a CT scan. I did have a tumor in my spine previously. Now I didn't have a tumor in my spine. The arthritis was gone. The scoliosis was gone. And I've been back pain free. So my back pain and my hearing loss has both been medically documented by a Massachusetts hospital in Boston, and it's verified through doctors. 3 doctors with the back looked at all the scans, tests, and has it officially documented, and as well as my ears, that it's been by a Boston hospital as well, that has been officially documented that I have been healed. The doctors that saw my spine, 2 of them stood there like this, and the other was rejoicing and saying divine healing and was ecstatic, and that was awesome to share that with him and just share the gospel and being bold and praying the whole way in there, saying, when they asked me if how's your back, I wanted to be able to share the gospel, so just to continue in praying for boldness and asking for words of wisdom of how to share that. God knows their hearts, and so ask him to soften them. And as for my ears, my doctor couldn't believe it. He was just speechless. He just didn't have the words, and he just kept saying, I can't believe it, I can't believe it, I can't believe it. And he just kept looking at the results back and forth. We don't understand why everyone doesn't get healed, but we are going to persevere and be persistent in praying and knowing that he does heal. There are miracles that happen. I've been healed, and many others around the world have been healed, and that's not going to keep us from praying. We're going to continue to persevere in prayer. We're going to continue to pray to our God who gives us hope daily to be healed.